so this is the cattywampus stand. Can you believe that a cake will fit on here without falling off? You know what the secret is? 22.5 degrees. That's about as much as you can go without the cake crashing into the floor. So this is 22.5 degrees, and then this one will actually come back and it's only about 10 degrees. So it's kind of an illusion. And you can actually build it taller. It comes with parts like this, a male part and a female part. I did not make that up. Plumbers did, I think. And then you screw them together, and then they just fit on, like that. Fantastic? So we're going to do a 3-tiered one today. So first I have a square cake. Now the secret to this is a board with a hole in it so that you don't have to balance this little cake like this, right? Ah, that's hard to decorate. So just a piece of styrofoam or a box or a roll of tape or anything like that will keep this stable. So that's what I have here. So we're going to ice this little square cake real quick.
What type of icing are you going to use?
This is butter cream, I think. Comes in a bucket. Scott, no, yeah, look at that. Butter cream. Fantastic. What kind of icing can you use? Any kind you want. What kind do you like? All of them, of course, right? Anything you want. So when I ice it for fondant, because I'm going to cover it in pink, of course, I want a nice thin coat. Now, a lot of people are afraid of square cakes. Why? What's wrong with square? They're hip. You only need a nice thin coat on the square cake. Now, do you see? I have my spatula like this, right? Kind of like if you had a lightsaber, you would hold it the same way. All right? And you hold it upside down. I see a lot of people do this. It's not like the Psycho knife. No, no. All right. Upside down. A nice, easy coat. Does it have to look beautiful under the fondant? No. That's what fondant's for, is to cover up all of our imperfections. Once I get the smooth coat on, I get my $50 tool here. Just kidding. These are the, 50-cent tool. This is my favorite thing in the world. And then I just run along the sides, just like this. This is Daniel, by the way. He makes FondX and flowers. He is a busy man. So did you see I'm not stressing? There's no crying. Does it look perfect? Would I write Happy Birthday Mom on this? Not if I wanted a good Christmas present. All right. So now I have some pink fondant. This is pink FondX, and they call it sexy pink. Is that sexy? Yes, it is. All right. Whoa. So we're going to knead the fondant. Why do you need the fondant? Does anyone know? To work out, right? Yeah. You have to warm it up, and you have to get it working. When you take it right out of the bucket, there's no elasticity. The more you knead, the more elasticity develops. That's what you need to cover a cake. Look at these corners. We want to cover this cake without it ripping apart. So the more you knead it, the better. Yesterday we had an automatic sheeter here to roll it out. Today we're using the old-fashioned sheeter right here. They work better when they're pink, of course. So what's the trick to icing or to rolling out fondant? A little cornstarch on the table, and you can roll it out on any surface. But you want to make sure that the fondant moves, and you roll it into a jelly bean shape.
We have somebody brave enough to ask.
Oh my gosh! Ideally, I refrigerate the cake before I cover it with fondant, but do you have to? No. The fondant police will not show up at your house and arrest you, I promise. Right, Daniel?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Can we see your badge, Daniel?
He is the fondant police.
It's my badge. Pink badge.
So how thick do you want to roll it? What's the answer? However however thick you want to go. When you get tired, stop. No, just kidding. About a 1/4 inch, less than a 1/4 inch. The thinner you roll it, the harder it is, but the more fondant you got left over. So you kind of weigh those two things, you know. The thicker you roll it, the easier it is. So I always recommend, if you're a beginner and you're working with fondant for the first few times, to roll it a little bit thicker because it's a little more forgiving that way. If you roll it really thin on your first try, you might start swearing. I've seen it happen. Yikes. Everybody turns into sailors. So I'm going to go 1/4 inch. You start at one corner and then the opposite corner.
I have another question.
I'm ready. Wow. This is silicone. Is this the best rolling pin ever? Yes, because it's pink, not because it's made of silicone. You can use anything. You can use a PVC pipe, you can use a metal rod, you can use nylon. Doesn't matter. Whatever one you like the best. I do recommend the pink ones. All right, so then I've got my fondant rolled out. It's a nice, maybe 1/8 inch. And then I'm going to spritz my cake. Remember, I've got it on that stand and it's got that little nub. This is crusting buttercream, so I want to spritz it just to make sure that the fondant sticks to it. Ta-da! What did I spritz it with? Vodka. Vodka, right? Is it too early for vodka? No. No. Do you have to use vodka? No, you can use gin, rum, whatever. No, you can use water if you want. You can use anything you want. I use vodka because it evaporates quickly. And because it's delicious. You know, why not? All right, so I picked the fondant up. You can roll it on a pin. You can slap it on, however you want to do it. Just don't pick it up like this, all right? Fantastic. Are you scared? Are you scared? Anybody scared? Right. These don't attack. So I'm going to start with one corner right here, and I'm going to push it to the side. All right, so then I'm going to work on corner 1 first, then corner 3, and then I'll go back to corner 2, and then finally the last corner. Now look at that. Then I have a couple of wrinkles. I'll just pull it out and push it in. Look at that. A square is actually easier than a round. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? So now start icing those square cakes because they are really popular right now. That and hexagons. Hexagons. Or octagons. All right. So then the last step would be to trim it. If you put your cake in the fridge and you got the buttercream nice and firm, you probably don't even have to use a smoother, right? But what is a smoother not? An iron. If you get a big old wrinkle, you are not going to be able to iron it out. There's no steam setting on a fondant smoother. All right, so then I'm going to trim it straight down. Isn't that a nice color? I would call that sexy pink. Now these stands, you can work a couple different ways. You can put them together and decorate the whole thing already put together, or you can decorate all the tiers individually, which is usually what I do so I don't have to pipe a border like this. So we'll put it together at the end. Now, what's becoming really popular in Texas for wedding cakes are people are bringing in their parents' pictures of their parents' cake or their grandparents' cake, and it's all the old school piping that I absolutely love. I think piping is becoming a dying art, right? But you guys practice piping every day, whether you know it or not. How many of you brush your teeth? Right? Oh, you're getting pretty good at that toothpaste, right? It's kind of the same, right? I use giant piping bags like this. You can use, again, any kind of icing you like. I don't fill it all the way full, but I promise it's not going to fall out, all right? If I could get one that was 3 feet long, I would, because I'd just throw the other half over my shoulder and I'd start piping. But this is about as big as they show up. All right. So I made this cake directly on this little board. If you don't want to do that, you could make the cake like this one. Oh my gosh, look at that, I'm touching that cake, crazy. You can make it on a board. Just remember to cut a hole in the board. That's the secret. Can't get the pipe in without the hole in the board. So we can put that one on actually afterwards. All right, fantastic. So we're going to do some basic piping. How many cakes have borders? Most of them, right? Unless they're made of styrofoam, right? I like those styrofoam cakes. They're low calorie. They are high fiber. All right, I don't know if you can see this. Piping just takes practice. A lot of practice. Bead borders. Shell borders are coming back. They were taboo for a long time, but now you see shell borders everywhere. So it is really fun when a client will bring in a picture of their grandparents' cake, you know, all the piping on it, even those old plastic bells, which we don't really put on anymore, but everything, it's coming back full cycle again, and it's really exciting. People are bringing in their toppers from their grandparents, and it's just so cute. You know, the little old couple at the top, oh, very cute. Fantastic. All right. We're going to pipe some S's and C's all over this. Daniel, you want to roll out some fondant and we'll make some polka dots on the bottom tier? All right.
Definitely.
So S's and C's. Can everybody write an S and a C? Yes, of course you can. You're halfway to piping with that toothpaste, right? All right. So you want to roll some pink out. We're going to add some decorative accents to the bottom tier. Then we're going to stab it full of flowers. Fantastic. Put it together. So when you go to assemble it, since I've already got my piece in there, I'm going to stab my right in the middle. Take that piece of fondant out. And I'm just going to push the pipe in, right? You should be able to pick the cake up with the pipe, all right? It won't fall off, I promise. Look, oh my God, oh my God, ah! Did I scare you? Your mouth is agape. All right, so now we can put it together. You want to make sure that the pipes go in really tight. You should be able to pick the cake up. This one weighs quite a bit. No styrofoam here.
We have another question, Bro.
I'm ready. Did you see my delicate cake cutting move? Yeah, I just stabbed it. I just stabbed that sucker. Just cut it. It goes all the way through, actually, so if I pick this up, there would probably be a little bit of cake underneath here. Yeah, yeah. It's a hole. Now, you can put these in the dishwasher. Definitely sanitize them, wash them out, and you can use them over and over and over and over again. All right, so then the piece goes on like this. You push it until it stops creaking. If you still hear creaking, it might be your back. All right. See that? It's pretty secure. We do these really tall at the bakery, and we deliver them already assembled. Oh my gosh. Crazy. Yes, absolutely crazy. So the top one, if you did it this way, I have a little bit of tape here, double-sided tape. So now we can add the top tier. Again, push it till it stops creaking. The faces help.
That was a very delicate move from
It was delicate, wasn't it? Graceful, delicate, absolutely. Now the tape is going to stick to the board that I have under here, right? Now don't do this at home. Ah! It's because I covered this cake last night. And I have a hole in the board and a hole in the cake. See that? Crazy, huh? Crazy. Fantastic. How are you? Oh, look at Daniel and his polka dots. Fantastic. So I'm going to go back to the vodka again. Why? Because it's 9:30 and it's time for vodka. And I'm going to spritz the outside of this a little bit, and then we're going to add the dots. Most people are scared of cake, and I don't know why. Cake is fun, and it's exciting, and the mistakes taste delicious, right? So just dive in there and start decorating. People always tell me, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. Really? When's the last time you tried to make this crazy thing here? You know, just jump in and go. Has a cake ever fallen over? Yes. I do not have a cape. See, there's no cape. I am not a superhero, right? Things happen. The only thing I can count on in my bakery is that nothing will go exactly according to plan. So I plan for failure and get real excited if I have a success. I always have a crash kit in the van with us. We always bring tools to fix a cake, and it's like an umbrella, I find. If you bring an umbrella, you're sure it's not going to rain. But if you don't pack that crash kit, watch out, that cake's going to go down. Yeah, so of course we have mistakes. Everybody has mistakes. We deliver 2 hours prior so that we can fix anything that could go wrong. But yes, I have delivered a wedding cake, put the box down, opened the box, looked in, and I just said to the gal who was delivering with me, keep smiling, sweetheart, there's the bride. Keep smiling, put the lid back on, lift that box up, and we'll just go right into the kitchen. But whatever you do, don't stop smiling. You start to panic, and all hell will break loose, right? If you are in control of the situation, nobody panics, right? That's the secret. Don't panic. It's just cake. The wedding will go on, hopefully.
How many cakes do you guys do a weekend?
Sometimes we do up to 60 cakes a weekend. Depends on how big the cakes are, you know. We do a lot. We had a lot this weekend. It's wedding season in Dallas. A lot of crazy sculpted cakes. It's not just weddings anymore. Oh, I'll pipe with some paint on here. Look at that, Daniel. You're so good.
Thank you.
Hi.
How do you store a cake once it's completed?
When it's completed, I put it in a box. Always in a corrugated cardboard box with a lid. How do you make a lid? 2 boxes. Or close it together, cut it apart, and slide it down.
You need to store it overnight, like you store it in the fridge?
Fridge. Always in the fridge. Because I put delicious, good goo in the middle. I want to have lemon curd and delicious stuff that you want to keep in the fridge. So I always store the cakes in a fridge. In the corrugated box, definitely in the box, and then you can keep it in a fridge for 2 or 3 days. Yeah? Another question. I'm ready.
So you store it with the fondant as well?
With the fondant on there. Oh my gosh. Again, the fondant police have never visited me, right? I'd kick them out of the bakery anyway. In the fridge.
But when it's in the fridge, it's sometimes
So, well, the most humid place in your cooler, in your whole bakery or house, is the fridge. The driest place is the freezer, right? So what you want to do is control the humidity in your fridge. So there's actual companies that can come in and help you deal with the humidity issue in your fridge. I had a guy who showed up to the bakery and he looked just like Captain Kirk. So every time I talked to him like this. And he said he could reduce my energy bill. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't have time. I got piping to do. And he said, I can reduce the humidity level in your cooler. People do this all the time. And I was like, what? Really? And it'll reduce your energy bill. So he comes in and he puts all these panels up all over the cooler wall. and my cooler went from 85% humidity to 45% humidity. Oh my gosh! So, start making lemon curd and fix the humidity issue. Don't fix anything else. Yay, fridge! Right? Yay! Good stuff in the middle. Isn't that exciting? If you email me at bronwen@frostedart.com, I'll email you his name and phone number. But you have to talk to him like this. Yes. There's companies all over that do this. All right, so we're going to stab some flowers at this thing. Daniel made all these flowers this morning by hand. Do you see them? These are beautiful. We do use a lot of these at the bakery. Gorgeous. Now, if Carrie Vincent is watching, you would never, ever stab a cake in, right? Never, ever, ever. What you can do is you can turn these into like a little loop, right? You can stick it on like this and attach it with the skewer, right? You could put a straw inside. Put the little stick in the straw, right? You could actually put a tube in here like this. Remember there was that one piece in there? You can actually put one like this in. That's what this is for, so that when Carrie watches you make a cake, never put the wire in the cake, right? So that's what we'll do today. You can put some buttercream on there and it'll stick to it. Oh my gosh, look at that. Gorgeous. You can bend these, they're all on wires. Make sure you straighten out the leaves and stuff like that. You can get a nice C curve or an S curve with these. Look at him go.
Can I just ask what you do? Do you cover the center?
You can cover the center pole here. You can actually spray paint it with some kind of paint that will dry, the same kind of paint that you could use in a kitchen. You know, make sure you do it like weeks in advance. Don't put the cake on the wet stand. You know, they color really nicely. We paint some, we have some silver, some gold, but we usually cover it up with some flowers or some bows or some leaves or whatever. We add that to part of the design.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just arriving, currently we have
Fantastic.
Bronwen Weber.
Brown man. That's been my favorite variation. Brown man. You can cut them apart with some pliers. See that? Beautiful. Took minutes. Why? Because there's metal in the wires, right? So you wouldn't want to actually have that come in contact with your food. So you could wrap it with something. There's plastic floral tape that you can get, just so that it doesn't come in contact with the cake, right? Same reason I always, if there's wires on the flour, I twirl them and leave them to the butt of the flour. So that way, if somebody goes to pick it up to eat it, they'll go, my goodness, there's a wire in there. I better not put that whole thing in my mouth, right? So I always twirl it up and leave it on there. All right, don't cut it short and have somebody eat the flour and ingest a wire, right? Safety tips by Bronwen. Who'd have thought? Ah! Any other hits on the flowers?
Don't drop it.
Don't drop it. Yes. All right, we need one more. Oh, look at this one. Do you like that one? I made it. Just kidding. Daniel made it. Just kidding. Alan made it. No. But isn't that gorgeous? That's all you need is one. 4-tier white cake, one of these in the middle. Fantastic.
I
Gorgeous.
think Scott made it. He has a lot of
Scott.
elves.
Nicely done.
Everybody knows I made it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thumbs up all night.
I know you were. Oh, look
Opinion?
at that.
Opinion? How about here?
That looks good. I like it.
What do you think?
Looks nice. Fantastic.
There you go.
Nice. Did you see this flower? 6 inches. Yeah, that's a beautiful cake topper if you don't happen to have your grandparents' cake toppers, right? Here you go.
That's a good one over there.
What, you want this one in here? Nice. Fabulous. So are you scared? It's not going to fall over, I promise. Yeah? Who has some questions about anything random like fridges? Yeah?
Nobody asked for deliveries. How do you deliver this, Bronwen?
I put it in a pink van. Pink vans work the best in Dallas. Definitely, I've got 2 pink vans. I actually make a little fridge out of every cake box. I lift the cake up. It's 110 degrees in the summertime in Dallas. That's a lot. Even in Celsius, that's a lot. So I lift it up on some styrofoam and I put dry ice underneath the cake, right? And then I put the lid on. And then I put some desiccants in there to absorb the excess moisture that the dry ice will cause. So I have a mini fridge. You know what a box and a few pounds of dry ice is cheaper than? One of those giant refrigerated vans. It's a little bit cheaper. Cardboard, dry ice. You can use the cardboard again. Dry ice, not so much. Yeah? I do have one, refrigerated van, but again, in Texas, it's 110. As soon as you open the doors, guess what happens? Whoosh! All the cool air comes out, and 110-degree air goes in. So we do deliver. We take a lot of little trips. We don't just load the van with 17 wedding cakes and go, well, it's 3 o'clock, let's drop the first one off. So we go back and forth a lot, a whole lot. Yeah? Any other questions on technical stuff? Yes, sir. He asked if I ever use Crisco or shortening to roll out fondant. I am a cornstarch kind of girl. Why? Because it's made from corn. No, I like cornstarch better than powdered sugar and better than shortening. Now, the first thing I did today before I kneaded the fondant was I put a little bit of shortening on my hands, and then I kneaded the fondant. How long does it take to prepare for a Food Network challenge? I'm never prepared. I've never been prepared. Have you seen the show? Sometimes they give us a month, sometimes 3 months. Back in the beginning, 8 years ago, they would give us 3 months. I can't believe it, 3 months. Of course, me and my personality, I waited to the last 2 weeks anyway. So sometimes I've done a challenge where they've called me on a Sunday and said, can you come out? We have a challenge this next Sunday. Oh, sure, absolutely. Fantastic. I can pack a pink van full of cake crap in moments. Yeah, I know what I need. I actually have a list saved on the computer of what I need to pack up and go. Because we do sometimes pack up and go and make cakes in other places, which is fun. Isn't that fun? Yes, absolutely.
We've got a couple more minutes. Any more questions? I promise the microphone will not hurt.
It won't bite. Oh, I like this touch. How long have I been doing this? Since I was 14 years old, which was 6 years ago. No, it was a little longer than that. In metric, I am 29.
Hi, Bronwen.
Hi.
First cake you ever remember making, and can you give us some advice for people who might want to start out doing what you do today?
I remember the first sculpted cake I ever made. I made it out of 2 rounds, and I was under the impression for some reason that it was a sin to throw cake away. So you remember that Chinese game Tangram, how you put all the pieces together? Well, you're not allowed to leave any extras, right? So I really thought it through, and I cut one into quarters, and I stacked some up, and I used the entire 2 full rounds to make this little sitting bird. I still have a picture of it. I put it in my office so that I can remember how painful it was, the first one. But the second one's easier, third one gets easier, and I promise by the time you get to the 150th, you could do it blindfolded, right? But you're still having just as much fun as you did on the first one. Cool?
Does fondant ever get stale?
Stale. Fondant, does it ever get stale? No, eventually it does expire, about a year, right? But I've never actually had a bucket of fondant last that long. We order it by the ton. They back up an 18-wheeler, and we unload a whole pallet full. It's very fun. I do. Just kidding. I totally lied. I do not.
So when you're making the flowers, instead of using gum paste, do you use fondant or do you use gum paste?
Guess how you can make gum paste? You can make gum paste out of fondant. What does gum paste have in it? It's got sugar, it's got gum. Guess what fondant has in it? It's got sugar, it's got gum. If you add a little bit more gum, CMC powder or gum tragacanth, carboxymethylcellulose, what else is it called?
That's pretty much
That's
it.
pretty much it. If you add a little bit in there, you will make gum paste. Fantastic. I actually never make gum paste anymore from the beginning. I always use FondX and I always make gum paste out of that. Yeah. How much and how much? People always ask me that. I always say a smidgen, maybe a little teaspoon to a fist-sized piece, right? That's my accurate measurement. A little to a little bit more. Yeah. Fabulous. Did you have fun? Totally. Should we all say vodka again? Ready, set, vodka! All right. Well, good morning and have a good show.
Thank you, everybody.